You know, I used to run away from that person that used to be like, yo, the zombie apocalypse is coming any moment. Are you prepared? Y'all got everything? Y'all stocking up? Canned goods? Different things? I used to run away from that person to now slowly start to turn into that person. Y'all watched it before your very eyes. I've slowly turned into that person, man. Always paying attention or wanting to know what could be the next disaster, especially when it comes to space and different things. Even here on Earth, when it comes to volcanoes and different things, I'm so drawn to that now. That is crazy. I guess, man, you change once you get old. I don't know. You get older, you start to seek that type of information. But I used to run away from it. You know what I mean? So let's get into the next video, though. 5 terrifying disasters that could destroy us at any moment. Are we prepared? I don't think we can be for these type. But we're going to check them out anyway. So if you're new, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. Join the family. Let's check it out.
In 2030, Valencia, Barcelona, Marseille, Rome, Athens, Istanbul, and many other coastal cities in Europe will be hit by a giant tsunami.
So he just said 2030, 1 carried to 2. That's pretty much about 7 years from now. Let me stop playing. But you know, that's like 7. Bro, 2030 isn't that far away. Did that seem close to y'all when he said it? Heart kind of sank a little bit.
Be hit by a giant tsunami, says Bernardo Aliaga, leading oceanographer at UNESCO, and the probability of such a catastrophe is 100%. UN experts have concluded that the number of various catastrophes on our planet is increasing threefold every 10 years. And this means that by 2030, 560 cataclysms will occur on Earth annually. That is 1.5 disasters per day. In this video, you'll find out why is this the most dangerous decade for life on our planet, how to get into a tropical storm without leaving your home, and more importantly, what cataclysms could destroy us tomorrow. On one of the Canary Islands, experts are monitoring an unstable volcano called Cumbre Vieja, which directly threatens most of the Atlantic basin. Usually, the average volcanic eruption lasts about a week and a half, but Cumbre Vieja likes long performances. Even its shortest eruption, dated 1971, lasted 25 days.
Whoa, 25 days? That's almost a month. You might as well call it a month. You're going to round it up anyways. 25 days for a volcanic eruption, bro. And I've never even heard of this one. I'm so focused on Yellowstone right now. And if I even hear the word Yellowstone in the news, I tense up. Now I gotta 25 days, bro?
Eruption, dated 1971, lasted 25 days. Usually, the ejections of magma and hot gases of this volcano take about 3 months. For example, some saved chronicles state that in 1585, Cumbre Vieja was continuously active for 84 days. However, now the situation is even more confusing. It seems that the old volcano is producing a new vent near the village of Tacande on the same island. This means that there's not much space for accumulated magma, and it's looking for some new ways to get to the surface. Ana Crespo Blanc, a professor of geodynamics at the University of Granada, suggests that in this case, the eruption could last even longer, although the likelihood of large magma fountains will be significantly reduced. Instead, lava will slowly seep through several crevices for many months, and we should fear this even more than a powerful and short-term eruption. In this case, a considerable number of people will have to be evacuated, and locals won't be able to return to their homes for quite a long time. First, they need to wait until the ground cools down and stabilizes. Then they have to measure the level of accumulated toxic substances throughout the island. Volcanic dust contains extremely high levels of chlorine, fluorine, and phosphorus.
Yeah, but even return, is it still the same? Can you ever go back to being normal after returning after something catastrophic like that? How? You live in fear at that point. Now I understand if, you have no choice. That's different. That's different. But to return back and live in fear, it'll never be the same for me. I can only speak for me. That would be rough to return back. And then all those memories that was lost and different things like that. And I know people say time heals, but that would be a tough one.
Measure the level of accumulated toxic substances throughout the island. Volcanic dust contains extremely high levels of chlorine, fluorine, and phosphorus. They can accumulate in the human body and lead to serious diseases. For example, a severe form of pneumoconiosis, when a person's lungs are literally corroded with foreign particles. But where can we place thousands of people for some time while all the necessary procedures are being conducted? And would it be safer somewhere else? The Helena Slump is located on the Big Hawaii Island. Once upon a time, it was also a volcano, and now it threatens humanity not with an endless eruption, but a mega tsunami. 12,000 kilometers of its rock are unstable and can collapse into the Pacific Ocean at any moment. This will create a huge wave that will reach the west coast of North America, flooding all coastal communities. Scientists claim that 120,000 years ago, a similar catastrophe had already occurred at the same place, and the collapse caused a wave up to 400 meters high. If something like this happens now, even the inhabitants of the central parts of the continents won't be able to hide from a massive wall of water, and many island states, along with coastal cities, could go underwater forever. In our time, the Helena Slump also managed to get noticed. Although the tsunami of 1975 was much less impressive, it managed to reach the coast of California and destroy many buildings. Now, any shock in the tectonically active zone can provoke a catastrophe. Therefore, in order not to repeat the fate of Atlantis in the near future, not just the inhabitants of coastal European cities need to reflect on this issue, as UNESCO suggests, but also a good half of the entire globe's population. In fact, the Helena Slump is a whole system of tectonic features, the specifics of most of which we still have no idea about. For example, flat faults called decollements aren't visible on the surface. However, such a fault caused an earthquake of magnitude 6.9 on May 4th, 2018. And if a tsunami usually affects only coastal areas, the consequences of an earthquake can extend for tens of kilometers. In that case, don't you think we should be afraid of them? The Toba volcano is a forgotten Indonesian monster. However, it could lead to the worst catastrophe in the history of mankind. And the scariest part is that we won't know about the impending disaster until the very last moment. But when a tremendous amount of lava is released, it'll lead not only to a large tsunami, but also an earthquake, which may well reach a magnitude of 9. The island itself may completely go underwater, pushing the lithospheric plates with such force that people will feel it in the farthest corners of our entire planet. Right now, magma is imperceptibly accumulating in a huge underground basin right under the lake, which was the mouth of a volcano thousands of years ago. But we can...
That's what scares me the most, man. What's going on underground that we can't see? What's going on at the Earth's core that we just can't see happening until it happens? Like, no technology we have that could better predict when this catastrophic disaster will occur.
Under the lake, which was the mouth of a volcano thousands of years ago, but we can determine the quantity of magma using only the zircon dating method. To do this, scientists collect zirconium, tiny crystals of volcanic rocks, and measure the levels of uranium and lead contained in them. This method allows us to learn only approximate data with a significant delay. Therefore, the date of a massive disaster can be predicted by no one. But wait, apart from Toba, we have other things to worry about. For example, the Cascadia subduction zone. It runs all along California. Basically, the locals live on a powder keg, always waiting for a new disaster. This area is a subduction zone, that is, a place where one tectonic plate slides under another. Usually the movement occurs gradually, a few centimeters in a couple of years. But in this zone, the shift can be abrupt and fatally dangerous. In 1700, this fault line caused an earthquake of magnitude 9.2. That time, Vancouver Island and the entire territory of California suffered the most. And now, scientists are sure that the next earthquake will happen. It's only a matter of time. Chris Goldfinger, a professor of geology and geophysics at the University of Oregon, claims that the Cascadia subduction zone could trigger other dangerous areas. For example, fault systems of the San Andreas, San Gabriel, and San Jacinto. They caused horrible earthquakes in San Francisco in 1906 and in Loma Prieta in 1989. If these monsters join their forces, humanity will have very little chance of resisting it in any way. According to preliminary estimates,
You see that? It was like half of our country right there. Look,
have very little chance of resisting
look at what's in the red zone or the hot zone, whatever you want to call it. Look at how it covers half of
it in any way. According to preliminary estimates, at least 1 million people will be forced to leave their homes forever. But what if the chain reaction spreads even further? What do you think about a huge tsunami?
And that's what makes me mad when it shows us on the news going at each other, fighting each other, bickering and stuff like that, man. And one day we're all gonna need each other, bro. We're all gonna need each other. So this little bickering and back and forth and stuff we be going through, man, that stuff is small. Let's dead that and move on. Because one day, something catastrophic, one of these disasters is gonna call us to call on each other. Every one of our brothers and sisters, we gonna need each other, man. It don't make sense to me.
What do you think about a huge tsunami in the North Sea? It sounds rather unusual because this zone has always been considered calm. But about 600,000 years ago, when Earth was entering another era, the sea level rose significantly. This eventually led to a massive landslide. An ice wall 300 kilometers long descended into the sea all at once. And this is approximately the distance from the center of New York to Washington, D.C. The 6-meter tsunami caused by that event reached the coast of Scotland, and now we have a good chance of seeing a repeat of such a huge event. Due to human-induced climate change, the sea level is rising again. If serious measures are not taken soon, the inhabitants of the Scandinavian countries, the UK, Iceland, and Greenland will all have a hard time. But the chain reaction will be unstoppable. Further climate change will lead to the fact that tropical hurricanes and typhoons will spread to mid-latitude regions, and this is where most of the world's population lives. A group of scientists from Yale University recently came to these conclusions in their article published in the Nature Geoscience journal. Subtropical storm Alpha, which hit Portugal in 2020, and this year's Hurricane Henri in Connecticut are the first harbingers of larger catastrophes. According to Joshua Studholm, a physicist in Yale's Department of Earth and Planetary Sciences, humanity's main problem will be the inability to predict the next disasters. We just don't have the necessary models and programs to predict the behavior of tropical typhoons in such atypical conditions. While scientists still leave a time gap of 200 years for a disaster in the Cascadia subduction zone, other disasters, such as the eruption of the Toba volcano, may well happen tomorrow. However, as you've already understood, our forecasting methods are still far from perfect. And what if a deadly chain reaction really starts and all the cataclysms happen overnight? Do you have any idea where you would hide?
There's nowhere you could hide, bro. All you can do is pray and hope for the best, man. You know? Sucks, but this is our reality. You know, that's why I'm so passionate about us bickering over such small things that we bicker about on a day-to-day basis. You know what I mean? That's nothing. It's minuscule, small. Like, we got bigger things to worry about, and we're gonna need one another, man. At some point in time. We already do with other things. So, bro, think about some of this stuff, man. Pay attention to some of this stuff, man. I think we get so caught up in our lives and what we focused on at the time that we don't think about something altering it and changing it in the blink of an eye. Stuff is real out here. It's real. Don't get so caught up, man. Y'all get at me in the comment section. Let me know what you thought of this video, man. And stick around and stay tuned. Next one, I'm gone. Peace.